So even though we had some idea that Odyssey would be at E3, I think everyone was surprised just how quickly we were getting another one after Odyssey. How long has Ubisoft been working on Odyssey?
The team for Assassin's Creed Odyssey has been working on the project for over 3 years. We knew that when Origins was coming out that we were coming out a year after, and that they were going to be working on the first steps that really push that game forward in terms of player progression, and we really wanted to take that and push it as far as we could and bring Odyssey into being a fully blown open world RPG. Right. And yeah, like at some point our production schedules overlapped, and we knew that these games would be complementary to one another, so it made a lot of sense to release this year.
Was Origin's success kind of factored into the decision to do Odyssey this year, or was that just something that was always on the timescale?
I can't speak to what the plans of the brand were as a whole, or what they are going forward, but I know that it was always a plan to release this year. For us.
Just talking about franchise fatigue, do you see that being a problem moving forward with Assassin's Creed? I mean, Odyssey coming out so soon after Origins, is that something that you're worried about? Are you thinking about continuing with an annual release schedule, or is it something that you'll look at kind of case by case? Or
for us, we, like I said, I can't speak to the future schedule of what's happening with the Assassin's Creed franchise, but for Assassin's Creed Odyssey, we were super excited to continuously push this to a full-blown RPG, and we knew we were coming out this year. We put a lot of fucking hard work into it, and we fully, of course, I think everybody worries about fatigue surrounding their franchises and stuff, but we were just so excited to show people what we had and all of the hard work that we put into it, so we're confident that people are going to like it.
From the demo that we saw yesterday at the conference, Odyssey's gameplay looks quite similar to Origins. We can definitely see the DNA of Origins within Odyssey. Can you speak to how the mechanics, the RPG mechanics, tie into the game this time around? Is combat exactly the same? Is the way that the RPG stuff works with stealth, is that the same? So with stealth takedowns and that sort of thing, if you're a couple of levels below the enemy, is it going to be exactly the same thing where he kind of deflects the attack and you're not able to kind of stealth him? Has anything been tweaked in that regard?
It's a big question. Yeah. Well, we knew that Origins was taking those first steps towards more player progression, better player progression. They worked on a solid foundation on fight and navigation, and we totally embraced that. And we took what they had to offer and all of the innovation that they had put into that, and we wanted to push it even further. So we factored in the fact that you have choice in this game, and choice is the core experience for how we built all of our systems, how we put this game together, and that's really how we embraced the role-playing part of the RPG and put it into our game. So in terms of the the RPG element, I think choice and player choice, the relationship between the player and the game, is really what we were pushing for in that, and hoping that we could take steps forward with that. We have improved on several of the core gameplay elements. I don't know how much of it you've seen, but we have our new seamless naval experience now. We have our conquest battles, which are 150 versus 150, and we have these amazing abilities that you can use with your spear because you wield the broken spear of Leonidas, and it allows you to use special abilities like the Spartan kick. It gives you other stealth opportunities as well. You were mentioning stealth, and it also lets you build on ranged abilities as well, so you can tailor your experience. So if you want to be like a full-blown true assassin and really invest all of your time in stealth, you can do that. If you want to be someone who specializes in ranged abilities, you can do that. If you're somebody who wants to go like full-blown warrior and Sparta kick your way to glory, you can do that too. Or you can be a hybrid of all of those things. So definitely improvements made and steps forward made on the whole.
Just to bring it back to the narrative of the game, which is obviously your specialty, Assassin's Creed Origins was like the starting point of the AC faction, and now this is a game set in Spartan Greece, which is several hundred years before Origins. How does this all tie into the lore of Assassin's Creed?
This is my favorite question. It is. It's my favorite question. And, there's a lot of people who are concerned that Origins, is establishing the Brotherhood, and we knew that Origins was establishing the Brotherhood, and we knew we were going to be before that. And so when we were creating this game, we really looked at, all right, what are some really significant points from this lore, and how are we going to expand on that and make it relevant for AC players today? One of the things that very much ties to this lore is our connection with the first civilization. Our game is very much set, is very much a historical game, but we also have the science fiction elements put in there, and I don't want to spoil how much the first Civ is connected with our game, but I can tell you that we, as the protagonist, whoever you choose to play, Alexios or Cassandra, they are a descendant of the King Leonidas, the King of Leonidas of Sparta, and they have the blood of the first Civ flowing through their veins, and they're connected to the first Civ. They're a descendant of the first Civ, and so that's a big connection for us. The spear itself is a first civilization artifact, so we'll be exploring that. But one of the things that I found super exciting about how we are going to connect this game to our lore was the fact that something that's present throughout all of the AC games is this ideology of free will and freedom versus order, because this is the foundation of the Templars and the Assassins that we know today, correct? And where did that come from, and how are we exploring that? So what was really exciting for us was to be able to explore those ideologies, how they fit in our setting of ancient Greece, and how they really tie to our story. And I think people will get pretty excited about that.
So how much is the animus involved in Odyssey? Are we going to see a lot of modern Assassin's Creed? I mean, obviously with Origins, that was toned right down compared to what we'd seen before in previous games. Is that going to be the case with Odyssey, or are we going to get more of a modern-day storyline?
So we knew how important the present day was to a lot of our fans, and we thought it would be a disservice to completely ignore that. But we also know that there's a conflict between those fans and the fans that want to stay in the past forever. So on Assassin's Creed Odyssey, we made it so that if you're very invested in the present day, you will be able to explore it to the extent that that you want. And if you're somebody who wants to stay in the past for longer periods of time, you can do that too. So there will be options open for both. We are continuing the story of Layla Hassan from the Origins game, and she continues her search for first civilization knowledge and first civilization artifacts, and we're excited to continue on with her.
So are you confident that Odyssey feels like an Assassin's Creed game? I mean, now it's like a role-playing game, it's set in a historical setting, but it's not necessarily tied to the lore in a conventional way. What does it mean to be an Assassin's Creed game these days?
Well, I think I can speak for my team and myself when I say that, yes, we very much think this is still a game that's very relevant in the lore, that it's still connected very much to the Assassin's Creed lore, even if it does seem that it's non-conventional, and that the move forward that we've made in this is a very natural step for us. The push into RPG makes a lot of sense, because like you said, we're a game that's rooted in history, and being a historical fiction nerd myself, it was really exciting for us to take this on, because I think too, with the element of choice, it has really allowed us to take a deeper dive into history than we've ever been able to before, because with our interactive dialogue system, we're finally able to ask characters why they're relevant. We can really deep dive into those people as to who they are, how they existed, and I would come out of script writing meetings with the team and just be like, I am Socrates, because you have to know those characters like the back of your hand, and we had to do so much research, so much deep diving into those characters to be like, okay, I'm going to be able to talk to them, but I'm also going to be able to have input in the story with them. And so you when you're creating something like that, you have to have that entire breadth of knowledge behind you. And so for that, I think too, it's still very much an Assassin's Creed game. And I think we're able to really deliver this time on the promise that the franchise has has been promising for the past decade of making history your playground. And I think for that reason, like, it's still very much in tone with what we wanted to do.
And just to end on, we wanted to talk about the romance options in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That was obviously a key takeaway from Origins. The dynamic between the two protagonists in that game, I know a lot of people really enjoyed. What's the deal with Odyssey this time around? I mean, are there going to be more than one romance options? Are there going to be consequences for dating other women or men? How does that dynamic work?
When we were looking at this game and we were creating the story, I was initially like hesitant to embark on a romance because Assassin's Creed has featured romance in the past, and it's always been part of the main story. And this time when we were looking at how much choice was going to impact the narrative, we had to have a lot of discussions around, like, well, romance is a part of life, and it is. And romance in this game is not a core feature, but it's very much a part of the life that you're going to experience for yourself, like the Odyssey that you're going to go on. If you want romance to be a part of that, there are a handful of options in terms of people you can romance, people who you can have sexual encounters with, but not necessarily romance. It's really about you defining your experience. So we're featuring romance in our demo, and it's a really exciting opportunity for us to be able to show that. This relationship that you see in the demo specifically is exciting because it's sometimes pursuing romance in a game can be a very selfish option, and you're interfering in the lives of these two people, and they're very much intertwined. So based on who you talk to in that relationship and how you talk to them and how you interfere very much impacts their lives. But we took the same approach when we were building, platonic relationships as well, is that the relationships you build with people, whether they're friendships or, you're making enemies with somebody, or, you happen to be romancing someone, it's very much based on the context of who these people are and how you interact with them and what makes them tick, and how you as the player are going to interact with them. So we wanted to feature romance as an option for people, and it doesn't matter who you are. There will be options for you, and it was really important for us to be able to speak to players on a wide range of topics, and romance is one of them.